It is 7:17, and I'm going to call the Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Westborough Public Library Board of Trustees to order. This is a hybrid meeting being conducted tonight. So thanks, Janina's online. Thanks for joining us. I am going to actually make an adjustment to our agenda as we have Wendy Homey here from the Friends. Thank you so much. So I'm going to put her first so she can give us a report in person on our fabulous Friends. So, right ahead.
I will do that. So first I want to apologize for misunderstanding last month. I thought I was on, then I didn't think I was on, and then when I saw that I was given like 5 minutes, I'm like, there's no way I can talk everything in 5 minutes.
You can have as much time as you want.
Here I am. I'm not going to talk too long, but I do want to make sure that everybody's up to speed on the Friends. We've been doing great. The book sales continue to be our main source of income, and they continue to be just fabulous. The donations that we get in from the community are never ending. I'm shocked. I think we might get some from other towns as well, because not that many other towns actually take them. A lot of other towns just do like one sale a year. We do ours once a month. And at the end of each sale, whatever is left, we get rid of. So we start fresh every single month. And we always get enough donations. It just amazes me, but it's a wonderful amazement. So our outside sales are always from May through October. So a week, not this coming weekend, but a week from this weekend, whatever it is, the 10th, the 11th, something like that. That will be our last outside sale for this year, and then we will be back outside in May. We take December off because usually the meeting room is being used anyway, and people are way too busy to do book sales. So we take December off, and then we do January through April, Saturday and Sunday when we're inside. So the inside sales are always a little bit less profitable for us, and I'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, in 2022, we also did the mini golf. That was wonderful. We made a lot of money. Mary worked very hard. Shannon worked very hard. Ellen worked very hard getting all of our sponsors beforehand. And so we kind of decided maybe we didn't need to do that every year. So the last couple of years we've just done more donation thing. If you want to make a donation, that's great. If not, there's no admission charge and there's no sponsors. I don't believe we will go back to sponsorships this year, but maybe next year. We'll see how things go. We continue to be run basically by a leadership committee. So we went to that format a few years back, mainly because nobody wanted to be president or vice president. So we needed to have some sort of committee to run things. And so we do have a president. Kevin is the president. And we do have a vice president. Eric is the vice president. I'm the treasurer, and Sandy is the secretary. And then we have 3 other board members that also help us in decision making. So we try to have a meeting once every quarter. We have our annual meeting in January. And then in between that, if there's decisions we have to make, we do it through email or text. Or we all run into each other at the book sales anyway, so we kind of work it all out. Julia, for your information, our next meeting is going to be October 22nd, 6:45, down in the meeting room. 6:45 in the meeting room. We'd love to have you join us as our liaison to the trustees.
Is that meeting also open to the public?
Not normally, but
so that's more important. Just
that's actually more just a
make sure everyone knows.
Right, no, you're right. That's just actually more of the board meeting.
Okay.
The one that's in January, that one we welcome everyone and anyone who would want to come.
Okay.
Let's see what's on there. So membership is good, and our volunteers are good. One thing I'm sorry, I did miss one thing that I want to say. At our last meeting in January, Mary had brought up the fact that there might be term limits for some of us in positions of treasurer, secretary, president, vice president. as I put it here, nobody's banging down our doors to take over those positions. So we were very happy to see in our bylaws that we do not have term limits. So that was a good thing, because I would have reached the end of my term. And nobody's looking to be treasurer. So I'm happy to continue, I want to continue, but had that been the issue, we would have had to have done something about it. But one thing that it did also give us an opportunity to do was to reread our bylaws and to make sure that everything was up to date. And we did find a few things in there that we have changed in the last year or so. So what happens with that is that when our accountant files our taxes for the year, she can also file any changes to our bylaws. So I will have that done when she files the taxes next year. And there's just minor things, like when we have our annual meeting, things like that, but nothing very critical. Okay, membership and volunteers have been great. We've got a great crew. One of the main jobs that we have as volunteers, well, there's two main jobs: working the book sale and preparing the books for the book sale. And that's the part that has always been kind of difficult. But lately, we have 3 women that have been doing it for about a year now. They have become the best of friends, and they coordinate when they're going to be here, and they do a fabulous job. We have another woman who has signed on about 2 or 3 months ago. She's got kids who just love the library, and she's so thrilled to be able to give back and do some volunteering for the library, so she's been very active. And then as far as working the book sales themselves, that ebbs and flows. Sometimes we have an abundance of people, sometimes we don't, but normally if we don't have enough volunteers for the book sale, we just put it out to the teens and they grab up the shifts. So we haven't had any issues with that. The financials for 2023, as you can see there, we have good income. Really, our income so much depends on the book sales. That's what it is. We do have some good donations. We have one organization that gives us $2,500 every single year, which is wonderful, very, very helpful. I'll talk a little bit more about donations in a minute. But as you can see there, the inside sales and the outside sales, those are our main ways of getting income. And you can also see, and this is very traditional, that the inside sales are average about $500 less than the outside sales. So this past sale, we had kind of a questionnaire to people that as they were buying, we would say to them, how did you find out about the book sale? Just to get an idea, because this year we actually did some advertising in the Community Advocate. We wanted to see if that was doing anything for us. That costs a little bit of money, so if that's gonna not help, then why do it? And we found out that very few people are learning about it from that ad. So that will be finished when it's done. Most people say they either know about it because they know the schedule, which is great because we've tried to beat that into people month after month, or they have noticed it on the library calendar, or they see our lawn signs. And I'm happy to hear that because I personally walk those all around town. So I'm glad to see people realize that they're out there, and that makes them think, oh, book sale this week. And of course, the other big thing is they just walk by on Saturday and see everybody out there and they're like, what's going on? So that was very informative to us and gave us some information on how we should proceed. Anyway, you can see that in 2023, our income was over $23,000, and in 2023, our expenditures were also over $23,000. So we really did quite well in 2023. A lot of that was because of the, I think I said 2022 for the mini golf, but that was actually in 23, and that helped quite a bit. This year we don't have that, so I think did I also give you a copy of so far this year? Okay, so far this year we have, the one that I had done was actually through July, but I have a few numbers for August and September as well. But through July, there had been a budget of just over 13,000. So what happens with the budget is that the library director comes to our annual meeting with a budget of what she would like the Friends to cover. And most of the time, if it's within reason, we just rubber stamp it, vote it, we're great. And most of the time, we have had no issues at all. In fact, what you see for 2023 is usually what happens. This year, it looks like it's going to be a little more challenging. We'll probably have to use about 4,000 or so of monies from prior years, but that's okay, we have it. I mean, our balance for 2023 ended, at any rate, it ended around 15 or 16,000 in our operating account, and then we have about 27,000 in our money market account. So we have the funds necessary. And so this year, we'll probably be down close to about 9 or 10,000 in the operating account, but still not a bad number. And we did have 10,000 that we gave to the foundation.
Yep.
And I think we have some kind of agreement that if it's not used by the end of next year, or if it's not earmarked by the end of next year, then it will be returned to us. I think that's what we the agreement we came to. So anyway, so far this year, we had been budgeted for 13,000 and just under 12,000 had been spent. That's a little bit deceiving only because the bulk of our museum passes are paid for in the fall.
Yes.
So we still have a large amount for that. But this year, we actually got 2 donations specifically for the museum passes. We got 1,500 from the Women's Club, and they want to do this ongoing. And then we got 1,350 from the Civic Club. So those 2 donations probably cover about half of the expenditure for the museum passes, just a little bit under half of it. So that's really a great help. And we also got another donation this year of $1,000 from someone who just wanted to give us $1,000. So that was great too. So August and September, the income we took in was about 3,700, and our expenditures were almost 8,000. So as I said, it picks up near the end of the year. So we still, had a shortfall of about 4,100, but that's okay. We have the money to cover it. And the remaining budget is 4,400 for the rest of the year. And our estimated income for the 2 book sales, one outside, one inside, is probably closer to about 2,300. So we'll probably have a shortfall of about another 2,000, depending on what actually gets put through. Not everything always gets put through. Some things are come through less. Some programs get canceled or pushed to another time. So we're certainly fine with that. I think that's all I got. Anybody has any questions?
Can I just ask about just in terms of membership?
Yes.
And so people can join Friends, right?
Yes, they can.
And is it just kind of is it one time, or do you ask for people to do an annual, or do you have any membership drives or anything like that?
The
where does that
form
fit in?
kind of asks for it annually, but we don't have any drive to go back to folks that joined last year and say to them, do you want to give again this year? Our feeling is that if people donate their time, that's more valuable to us. And if they want to make a donation, then we're more than happy to accept it. But it is not mandatory. Even people that join new, sometimes they don't check off any donation. If you're going to donate some time, we love it. We're happy. So. Okay.
This is my first time sitting
Yes.
in on one of your presentations.
Yes.
I'm very close to being completely amazed because this is really nice work that you're doing on the town's behalf.
And we all love it. I mean, we've been doing it
That kind of
for
shows.
years.
Is there any a method for reaching out for these sponsorships?
For the, like the mini golf?
But also for the museum memberships, et cetera.
You know, that was something we had never done before for the museum memberships. And it was something that somehow Maureen decided to ask some of the groups. I would think that it's certainly something we could do going forward. Any other groups that might be interested, because a lot of groups, as Mary very kindly informed us when we were doing the whole mini golf, is that they budget a certain amount for donations, for charitable organizations, for nonprofits, and they don't always have enough opportunity to use the funds. Just as a side note, I also volunteer at the farmer's market, and when we were looking for sponsors for the POC program, I went back to the two that had sponsored these, the museum passes here, and I said, if you're looking for something else, this would also be something you might want to do, and they both donated to that. So, I mean, I think that there is opportunity. This was something we just did this year, so I think next year we'll
Well,
certainly.
my grandson and I took advantage of one of the memberships of the Heritage Museum. And
The museum passes are just fabulous, they really are. We use the ones for Tower Hills. Tower Hill on our anniversary, went to see that wonderful fabric display that they have on until the end of October. So it is. Our biggest concern with the museum memberships is that not everybody seems to know about them. No matter how many times we have tried to promote them, and it's a real frustration for Lisa down at the circulation desk, because she kind of manages that, and she says we just need to get the word out there. So she had made some bookmarks that we gave out at one of our book sales a few months ago that listed all the different museums that we sponsor, and people were like, really? So I think it's just getting the word out there, and they'll be used even more.
Okay. What about, have you thought about doing outreach to the schools? Like the schools send out a weekly email
Yeah, we
newsletter
haven't, that's probably to
you know,
inform
to
them of the
parents.
museum passes.
Yeah, just say,
No, that's a
the
good
library
idea, we should
has
probably do
museum
something
passes,
like that.
you know, here's some examples, and
Yeah,
that
that's,
might be a nice way to reach
Absolutely.
families with kids and maybe
and
people who don't.
they're the, I mean, a lot of them are geared towards.
Yeah,
families,
yeah,
so it
yeah,
really
so
would
that
be,
might
that's a great,
open that.
great suggestion, I will look into that.
Well, I live in an area that has a lot of new families moving in
Mhm.
each year, and they're not really services, but they're here because of whatever.
Yeah,
As I've been able to socialize the idea more and more going out, and the one-to-many relationship, I show them, and then they show two people, and they
Yeah.
they show
the
two
word of
people.
mouth is the best way to get it out there. Yeah, that's excellent.
Oh, go ahead, Janine. You're muted.
Muted.
Sorry. So I also, when I'm doing the talks around town, the outreach talks, I always give them handouts about the museum passes. I take one in for the trustees of the reservation and show it to them, explain how many, there's like 120 places you can go with
Yeah.
just that one. So I'm always promoting that in my talks around town.
That's excellent. Anything we can do to get it promoted is absolutely fabulous.
And it's true that people have absolutely no idea. And it's kind of fun because like at the senior center, they started talking about some of the museums there and telling each other about the museums.
Excellent, excellent.
Well, we can't thank the Friends enough for all your support and your hard
Thank you,
work.
and we really appreciate your support too, and we'll look forward to having Julia join us.
Yep, I'll be there.
Thank you so
All
much
right.
for taking your time. It's great to see you.
Thank you, good to
Take
see you
care.
all as well.
Thank you.
We'll see you around town, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You guys I'll see all the time. Bye.
Bye. So, that also concludes public forum, as we don't have any members here, and so that brings us to our director's report.
All right. Okay, so again, kind of sticking with the same format to see how this works out. I put some stats on here for you all, just so that you could see the last few months of circulation. I can probably pull it up if people are looking to probably do it. Okay. So you can kind of see for the last few months and then previous year. This is August stats because when this is due, September isn't over yet. So I have to pull the full month of August, and kind of that's just how it's going to look. So really the biggest call out here is that we are seeing an increase kind of overall, and some significant increases, which is really good to see. Now looking a few years post a pandemic, kind of looking at, are we getting our numbers back? The only one that went down from last year was new cards issued, and I mean, it's 110 versus 120, like this is not a huge number, it just looks like a giant decrease, but you can also see the previous month we had a huge increase in those, so that could just be timing. It will be interesting next month to look at September numbers. I think preliminarily there was something like, I feel like it was like 211 renewals and 100 and something, so 300 some odd new cards and renewals together when I pulled the data last, but that's just from memory, we'll see next month. But I just think looking at it as a trend is kind of helpful. You can see our digital circulations are up by a significant number. That's always good to see because those are checkouts. And as we see more people go into digital circulations, if we see people checking out more ebooks, as we put more of our resources into purchasing ebooks, trying to get those wait times down, it's nice to see a return on that investment. If there's ever an interesting number that you'd like to see here, let me know and I can try to pull it. If it's easily accessible, so WMARS is a really great reporting structure, so we can usually pull whatever data we want. That's what we have so far. My goal is to have more patron traction data as we get more of that. But that's what I have for now. And then kind of keeping with how things have always been. Again, our busiest hour, as always, is Saturday from 12 to 1. That has not changed. And then some variation. So this month it happens to be Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Friday at 4. I don't think that was the same last month. And then our top circulated titles this month, The Bad Guys, which has been consistent, The Women, which has been consistent, The Glassmaker. And then I did want to put an honorable mention at 5th, which is our hotspots.
Nice.
Just because those are so used. And it's just such a benefit to be able to offer those to patrons. And it's nice to see how much they serve. So, just have a couple of bullet points to discuss. So, Board of Trustees Google Drive has been created. We talked last month about the need to kind of transfer that for Maureen's ownership and how tricky it was. So what we basically had to do was copy paste it onto a new drive. And so you should have all gotten an invite email. If you log in using a Gmail account, you should be able to edit and work on draft documents. If not, I've been sending out a viewable link. So if you just want to go in and view October, whatever month we're in, I'll always send out the viewable link. But because that drive is meant for working documents and not, finished agenda, finished, kind of the new structure will be our minutes and our agendas to be consistent with other boards and committees. Those will be posted on the boards and committees website of the town. So we will be consistent with what everybody else is doing, and our minutes will show up there, which they currently don't. And so Lynn and I are going to work on that. Let me know if this Google Drive isn't working for anyone, or they need me to add, like you have a different account that you want me to add to that, I can do that. The old one is still open and active, so I will be shutting that down. And we're going to keep ownership of it as long as the town will allow us, because they are trying to get rid of that account since it's Maureen's. But we're going to keep it just in case. But we've looked through everything. We think everything made it over to the new drive, and it looks kind of identical. In fact, it confuses us sometimes because it looks identical. So as long as there's no immediate concerns or issues anybody's had accessing it, we will go forward with that.
That's fine.
Updated job description. So in that folder that I sent the link out to, Lynn and I put an updated job description for library assistants. So part of our goal here every month is to either bring forward a piece of policy to review or a job description to review so we can start chipping away at all of these things that have to be updated. Most of our job descriptions have not been updated in a very long time. In fact, we've had issues with like posting our library page position. The page job description is so out of, it doesn't describe at all what the position is, and we've had issues with like the pool of candidates we get expecting it to be something different than what it is.
Well, because the Human Resources Department started attaching the full description versus just the job ad.
Yes.
And that's what caught us off guard, because they had not done that previously.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, it's time to update.
It's descriptions,
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to be part of like just regular maintenance, we thought we would put something in front of everybody, and since library assistant is the one job description that has the most people underneath it, and it's also our most comprehensive one, that we thought that we should bring it up here to have you guys, oh, that's not what you take a look at, to have you all take a look at. So the previous one is in this folder, and then the new one is in the folder. We couldn't do a red line version because we kind of changed the format of it. And I did sit down with Kim from Town Hall to take a look at this, just to get any feedback, like legality, if this was cool with her, but we know it has to go through trustees first. So we wanted to bring it to you guys. Not a whole lot of changes, it's really just cleanup. The one call out I think that is different is that we've added this, basically this like off-desk tasks may include, and these are kind of special tasks that people get. So say you're an 8-hour position, you may spend all of your time on desk and not do any of these. But if you're someone who's here 24 hours and you have some off-desk time, you may, we have some people that do cataloging. We have some library assistants who help with children's programs. We have some library assistants who help with our social media and marketing. So it really is based on your skill set with what you can do. But we thought it was important to kind of call out what those things could be, but not limited to those items. Because we may get somebody in who's like really stellar at whatever it is, and we want to leave space for them to be able to assist us in that. So that is a new section. And then all of this stuff, I had a conversation with Kim, it's basically standard how they do things. So we thought we should just not touch this part. All of these, like, I'm used to it kind of being a lump and not, yes, like reasoning ability. I've never seen that as a section, but standard, we're going to keep it all the same. So I think those were the only big change. Everything else was almost verbatim. We just wanted to make sure it didn't limit anybody. I've worked places where their environment was so that if you were under one job, you couldn't even touch a computer because it specifically said you could not touch a computer. And I think the benefit of being a smaller library is that you're able to allow staff to do things that they're good at and they love, and create opportunity for growth. And we have staff that are in library school, and I want to be able to let them get some experience working with our librarian staff. Where in other libraries I've been in situations where it's just very strict and they're just not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. So that's why we brought this one, and the other piece of this would be library assistant. So this is library assistant part-time, library assistant part-time benefited, and library assistant Sunday. So all of those positions would go under this. So we wanted to bring it to you guys for feedback, if you had anything. And the next step from here would be town manager, who then would have to have a conversation with union, because some of these positions are union staff. And then it would have to go to select board. So it's kind of a just very long process.
Some, but not all are union.
Right.
And so does that, do we need to separate that out, or is that okay that they're all?
So they're not currently. They're, right? Like
No,
library
it's
assistant.
written, so if you look at the job code, it says H2, that's a non-union rate, and then union and 10 obviously
Yeah.
has the union rate, but it's the same job description.
Okay. But I just made sure
It's
that it's
just
okay
a
to list it on one. and have it
delineation for
separate.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be. And also, this was another change, is that last year, They
Yes.
went from N9 to N10.
Yes.
So they all got pay bumps, and then this was never addressed. So we thought that this is a good
It should
place to start.
reflect what level they're currently on.
Right.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Excuse me, just as an aside, how many of those assistants does the library have now?
How many library assistants? That's a great question. So we have
Is it 8?
four
Sunday.
Sunday, four benefited,
And
and three?
or,
I think
five,
Non-benefited.
non-benefited.
Yeah.
Because 4 are 12 and carry.
yes. I always forget about Karen.
So 13.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's most people are this who are here. And I think that one of the things everybody's been asking for across the board is a clear understanding of what their duties are and what their jobs are. And we also know that under a new director, expectations change, right? Your job doesn't change, but expectations change. And it's a good opportunity for me to say, we're looking at this, we've looked at this, here's what the job description is, it's clear. Do you understand what the job is, what's expected of you? So, comments, concerns, questions?
Looks good to me. I appreciate the time that you guys put into this because it's super important. And I think it's a great first step for us to get everything updated and in line and the new direction for libraries. So I think that's really great. Does anyone have any questions before we vote on accepting this? All right, then I will take a motion. Do you have a question? I will take a motion for accepting the updated job description for library assistants as presented.
So,
Thank you. All right. All in favor? All in favor? Fabulous. Anyone opposed? Nope. Anyone abstained? So that's 5 to 0 to 4. Okay, fabulous.
Thank you. Okay, so then another ask that we have is for a staff development day. So these things take a long time to prepare for and plan out. And, I feel like so one of the new things that we've done in kind of trying to create, last month we talked a lot about how my goal was to create some more infrastructure here. And so one of the things that we've done is we've started to have monthly staff meetings, and we do them on 2 different days at 2 different times so that we can have desk coverage and have the most people attend. So we do 2 identical meetings, we assign somebody to take notes, we send out the slide deck and the notes so that anybody who couldn't be there, our Sunday staff specifically, are able to get access to this so that we're not calling people in, having them come in early, having to pay extra hours just to have this done so that it's sustainable. And so we've done 1 so far, well, two of the same meeting. And I think it was really good just to have that opportunity to regroup and talk to each other. I've also started to do Friday admin update emails to all staff, just with here's what you have to know for the week, here's what we have coming up, just to open that line of communication. And so one of the things that we have been talking a lot about is having a staff development day by the end of the year to do some kind of more intensive training, to do some communication.
Like practical, like
Yeah.
how do you set up the projector? How to
Yeah,
troubleshoot
yeah.
this at a bar?
Yes.
Like things
Yeah.
like that you might get stuck with or
Yeah.
have to
And
come
some
up
of
each
the,
event.
some of the training that we've had earmarked. And so I also have some favors I can call out. So one of the things that is confirmed is that the executive director of Worcester, Jason Homer, has this great workshop he does on storytelling, advocacy, and starting with your why. In terms of your mission and knowing that we have a new strategic plan. So he said he will come and do that training for us on the staff development day, and it works the best with everyone in the room. So the date we're looking at, we are aiming for a Friday because we are not open till 8. And we would like to do it in December, in early December, before things get really busy. And so I think December 13th, Friday the 13th, is the day that we're hoping, and we are making a request, and I'm open to if it's a problem. I'm going to request the whole day and not do a half day, because I don't know how useful it is to say open at 2, we open 2 to 5, right? when I can use that afternoon, I think to a bigger benefit to the community and getting more training. So I would like to make that ask.
The staff get paid for that?
Yes. Yeah, and we have some budget we can use to make sure that all of our staff can be there for that. There are part-timers too.
Perfect. And I'm assuming you check town calendar, school calendar, does it conflict with like any big meeting that we have for library usage?
I did not, but
I did
we
not,
will.
but we will.
Let's pull up the school calendar.
And I was gonna say, I send to,
That was
Just because I know like on days,
That's the day
Yeah.
kids get to.
I know.
Exactly, and they're all be like,
Yeah.
we want in.
it's not a half day, it's a whole day.
Perfect.
But I don't have the elementary schools synced, but.
Yeah, I think usually the first 2 weeks in December are pretty safe.
Yeah.
December is generally the.
You never know. But also that way, what we can look to do is do some sort of luncheon, and that will function as kind of the staff holiday celebration, end of year celebration as well. So I'm sure we'll be reaching out to you guys as we kind of solidify those plans.
You were good to go on the 13th. FYI, the Friday before and after are half days.
Really?
So you're good on the 13th.
I mean, we definitely checked and picked that day on purpose.
Absolutely. It's a perfect day. Yeah, for some reason, the 6th and the 20th are early release days for.
20th is the big beginning.
Yeah, 20th is the
Oh,
vacation.
yeah,
The
okay.
6th,
6 is a weird one, huh?
yeah, that, yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that, but, and it's not just K through, it's all district. So it's interesting.
Oh, that was interesting. Well, maybe we're doing
That
that. That worked out. So,
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe we should write that. Yeah. Okay, great, that sounds great. I have no problem with that. Does anyone else have a problem with that? All right, go for it.
so done. Okay, wonderful. That was easy.
I'm gonna actually take an official vote.
Okay.
on that, because we're
Okay.
changing the schedule, so
Sure.
All right.
let's just make it official, just in case we really need that. I'll take a motion to close the library to the public on Friday, December 13th for an all-staff.
I move to do what you just said.
Second.
We're gonna just
I
play
That
this
was
song.
great. All in favor? Excellent. Any opposed? No? Okay, there you go. Great, it's official no matter what now.
Thank you so much. I will use every minute of that day.
Good.
Trust me.
I love it.
Okay. Gimlet and stats, we talked a lot last month about gathering really good stats so that we can have data-driven decisioning, make asks based on data, and the importance of starting that now so we can make really good decisions moving in a tense space.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So one of the things that we talked about in our all-staff meetings that staff have started as of yesterday officially, that they've been playing around with it for a few weeks. It's a product called Gimlet, and this is what it looks like. This is pretty standard that most libraries use this product. It's just a very simple interaction tracker. It takes 2 seconds, and it doesn't track any patron information. We're not asking what they asked. It's like, if someone came in and said, "Where are your restrooms?" and you said, "They're downstairs." You track that as directional informational, 0 to 5 minutes, an adult asked, save, right? And the best part about this is we're able to pull really interesting reports. So I'm just going to look at the last 7 days because, again, we're very new on this. So one of the things that it will pull is, this is just a very big overview. You can see the comparison this week versus last week and how quickly I could pull that. And that's every single time a patron spoke to, called, emailed our staff. So it's just about staff usage in terms of FaceTime, call time, email time with patrons. So you can also look at, this is one of my favorite things. So this is time chart, and this is really good when you're looking at hours. So I think specifically when we look at hours moving into temporary space, we can pull actual data on when our busy hours are based on number of questions, what type of questions, what desk they were at, how long the interactions took, and that will help us figure out how to staff our desks. Do we need 2 people at circ? Do we need 1 person at circ? Do we need a 3rd body at circulation during certain hours? We'll have good raw data to be able to pull to make decisions on that. So this is just kind of a look to what the reporting side of this looks like, and just how detailed you can get into you know, okay, I only want to see questions that are asked by teens, right? And we can pull that and we can get good data.
This is amazing.
Yeah, so, and staff have really like jumped into it. They're excited about it.
Ask how onboarding and staff interactions been. Okay, great.
Yeah, you know, I think when we talked about it in our staff meetings, we definitely started with why is this important?
Yeah.
How does this help us advocate for more staff? How does this help us advocate for correct staffing on our desks? How will this help you? And I think everybody totally understood, and they're trying their best. They're reminding each other to track the stats, and they can also, I think, pull reporting, which is great. If they're like, oh, I want to see how busy it was yesterday, or it felt like it was so busy this morning. I'm going to look at the stats, and that will also help us have a clear definition of what busy means.
Right.
Because that's also something we struggle with. It's not unique to here, though.
How long will it be before you have sufficient data so that you can actually do planning?
So that depends on your perspective. In an ideal world, it would be a year. I would love to have a year's worth of data to base it on. I think just because we're moving into temporary space, we're going to be on a limited. I'm comfortable with like 3 months of data to make decisions on, and then kind of move forward from there. Just because we don't have 6 months to wait.
And I'm sorry, you have used this elsewhere?
Yes.
And clearly we're happy with with the results. And what's the learning curve for this for the team?
Oh, it's so easy.
Super
Really?
easy. Yeah.
I worked the desk yesterday morning and I'm like, oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. And just on the desktop, yeah.
Yep.
Just
And it's all web-based. So,
Yeah.
and the best part about it is you can backdate. So if you forget to do it, just do your best, right? If you know you did 3 library card signups and you forgot to do it because you were super busy, just say, okay, it was at around 12:30 and put it in. And that's been helpful to say, like, don't worry about, if you have a patron in front of you, don't worry about this.
Right.
And
Right.
is the data stored locally on a disk here,
No.
or is it backed up to some
So
service provider?
The data is all web-based, so it's all stored within Gimlet, the company. So it's all there in the cloud.
And you can pull it up on any computer.
And you
so
can
it's-
download
yeah,
it too.
it's
So it's probably good practice that every 6 months or probably every 6 months, we download a copy of that data just to have it backed up. So that is probably something we'll do. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see, you said you do it, like, going to look at it in 3 months. And then the next year, look at that same 3 months.
See.
And then you have evaluation of how you did during that period and do it that way.
Mhm.
And when I was teaching student teachers, I would check how many times did they go up to a student, how many, that was all with a pencil. This would have been a godsend.
Yeah.
So this is great.
It's super helpful, and this goes into this whole thing that we've been working on, which is doing a full staffing analysis. Figure out where our bodies are, where we need them, are we using them to the best of their ability, how can we free up staff to do more programming and outreach and all of these things. So this is going to help us with that. And then we've also already started work to transition to a new staffing software. So right now Lynn and I are the only ones in there. Lynn's the only one with time off in there. But it worked good so far. So we are going to kind of transition to a new staffing software as well, which will help us track time off desk, when programs are, all in one place. And it's something I've been pretty successful with at a few other libraries, and a product that I really like. None of the products in the market do everything we need them to. Honestly, we should invent it because we'd be rich people. But it's a really good one, and I think we're going to transition, try it for a while, and see how it works. We had open house, so I think most of you were there. It was really wonderful. We had over 325 people attend. We went through a ton of pizza. And it was just a really wonderful event. So it'll be interesting to see how it transitions into temporary space, what that event can look like or will look like. And we've been doing a lot of kind of post-mortem work on what worked, what didn't, what can we do differently. Thank you for supporting us at our open house. Branding logo I'm going to skip over because it's an agenda item. But just as an FYI, at our team meetings, we did talk about logo and branding, and then With your guys' blessing last month, we did send out a survey giving staff options, and we do have a winner, so we will talk about that. Band Books Week, I just wanted to specifically call this out because we did have a very successful program. Tracy Graham, our adult services librarian, had Jeff Raymond here for a talk. It was really well attended, and we got a bunch of really amazing feedback. And just as a way to brag about our staff, which I will take every opportunity to do, I want to read a couple of the really great feedback that we got. Thank you, Westborough Public Library, for bringing so many enriching programs to our community. You open our eyes to the world and offer the town so many opportunities to become more than what we are. This was a great presentation. I love seeing the teens in the audience. Thank you, WPL, for bringing so many. Oh, did I? It's a different one. Okay, well, I put the same one in there twice, but know that there was a lot of really amazing comments on our social media and also in person. So it's really great to work in a community where an event like that gets so much traction and people care about that as an issue, and it warms my heart as a librarian that we have the support of our community. So it was really great to see such a positive spin on Band Books Week, and excited to see what next year brings us. So Trustees room relocation, I don't know if I have to say much about this except that we're sitting in the space. Here we are.
I love that we can offer another really functional meeting space to the town. Like, it's a great space and for us to use as well.
Yeah, we've had a few, this is where we had our staff meetings. We have leadership meetings every Monday here with our staff, so this space has been really well used. And so that's been great. The screen has been so helpful to have. These are some of the spaces that we will be looking at, trying to get appropriate furniture for the space just to make it usable, probably prior to moving into temporary space, because those are things we're going to need in temporary space as well. So you may see us looking at what do we need for furniture that will also transition, and trying to identify like a correct funding source for that. We've got a couple of options, so just mentioning that. That is my entire report, but I did have a couple things I wanted to touch on. One is next Thursday at the Worcester Public Library, MLS is hosting a library advocacy boot camp. It's all day, it's like 10 to 3, it's like a mini conference all about advocacy, both at the legislative level and kind of at your local level. There's speakers. It's free if you're an MLA member. It's $30 if you're not. I will be there, and I'm happy to take notes, but I just wanted to mention it in case anybody here was interested in attending. It's a really great opportunity.
What was it? Did you send out the link?
Yep, I'll send it
to
out.
everybody.
I'll send it out to everybody.
Next Thursday.
It's Thursday the 10th. They're also hosting, I believe it's December 5th. It's at night. It's a library advocacy kind of to start off, instead of doing legislative breakfast, they're doing this kind of night event, which is really cool. And I'll send out information about that too, because I think that would be a really important one.
Okay. When you were just talking about Tracy and the Band Books program, it was great that she sent that email out to us, you know, with the programs and specifically highlighting that.
Yeah.
That was super helpful.
Good.
And easy to just kind of pass it on to.
Yeah.
On the subject of programs, there are several programs that are continuous, and it's not a single big event, it's a number of small events.
Yes.
And the number of small events is, well, the ones I've seen so far have been really impressive. And I'm wondering if there's a way to extract information from Gillis that we can feed some data into that, because I know Tracy's been working very hard on this and to really, apparently really good effect.
Yeah, so there's a number of things that we can do. One of the things we talked about at our last leadership meeting is program what do we call them? Program forms for after you have a
Like an
program.
after-action kind of.
Yes,
Ooh.
like a,
I
Come
know,
up with a
sounds
different
very
term,
familiar,
please.
but-
we had a different name for it, I just don't remember what that is. Something that like, if you have a registration list after a program, you send this out to the registration list, say, thank you for coming, here's a list of resources. Also, please fill out this survey and let us know what you thought. And in it, just have to do like the presenter, what program did you go to, would you recommend this to a friend, where did you hear about this? Like boom, 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 3 questions, done. And you can use that data to kind of inform what smaller programs we do, what ongoing programs we do, what larger programs, whether we have that speaker back or not, and just, people will give feedback, but only the loud people, right? Sometimes you need to ask
You have
for
to
the
ask for it.
feedback to get
I
it.
think the more consistent you are with it, the more people will be like, oh yeah, I fill it out. And like, all the kids are used to filling out exit tickets at school.
Yes,
And, you know, like, so they're used to like, here's my feedback.
Yeah.
So I think it should be really super consistent and you'll get that feedback from people.
Yeah, and including it as like a QR code on our calendars we
Yeah.
send out, just making sure that we're constantly asking for that feedback.
Especially at the actual day of the event,
Yeah.
because I was sort of looking around for where can I write down, you know, what was happening, and that's
Yeah.
always something really important, so that it's great to have it sent out to them, but if they're like me, and I've already gone to 3 other things, I'm like, oh, I don't remember where I went.
Right.
That's because, of course, I'm old, but that's the kind of thing that you want, immediate feedback with only not long paragraphs, just
Yes.
yes, no,
Simple.
smiley face.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, that is definitely something that we're looking at.
Good.
I had 2 other things. One is our strategic plan that you guys approved has been submitted and accepted by the state.
Wonderful.
We're good. Thank you for that. And we had something come up this morning that we just wanted to mention, which is we did have a total system failure of our HVAC system this morning, and had no heat and did not know when we would have heat. Lynn, do you want to speak on that a little?
Can you say that super loud for the public? A total system failure?
Well, so last
Awesome.
March, when we had a failure of one of our pumps, there was that flooding. So there are 2 pumps, and they happen to be located one above the other, and one of them failed. The decision was made once we got the bill that it was going to be somewhere around $4,800 to replace, that we knew we were gonna shut the heat off for the summer. We were kind of like, maybe we can just make it till
Yeah.
the project, but our lone pump failed this morning and seized. So the good news is that Mohammed, our HVAC guy, I don't know, he took the initiative to cannibalize parts from the other
Awesome.
pump that
Okay.
was dead and basically rebuilt it in place.
Wow.
Yeah, all in one day.
All in one day. He was here for the full day. He was here at 7 a.m. and he left somewhere around 3 or 4.
Something. He was
Yeah.
here for a while.
Yeah, so he did manage to get that. He did not want to leave us without heat. The unfortunate thing is that this pump is not readily available. It's something that has to be ordered and wait for because our system is so old. So,
If it goes down again, we're in trouble.
right,
Right.
so now we are on one that is MacGyvered together. And
Yeah, so we're kind of at the point where we're waiting for the official quote to come in on what it'll cost to get the other one.
because we have the
Replaced.
quote from last March, but
Yes.
obviously it has
Gone up.
increased.
Yes.
And so we're waiting for that from John Pugar at ARC and
Yes. So the question in front of us, which we wanted to throw to this group because it is a significant amount of money, is do we spend we think it will be
5,000.
5,000.
yeah.
Do we spend the 5,000 and replace the pump, and then use the MacGyvered one as backup? Or do we continue down this path of just hope and a prayer that this won't break down and that will survive until test space?
On the coldest day of the year. The other thing
I
that
know.
Mohammed did say is that, I mean, which is kind of leading us to, we're gonna have to spend the money, is that these pumps should be working
Yes. They
Alternating.
should
Alternating.
alternate, yes.
and not
Continuously.
continuously. So that's
It's a significant amount of money and it's a significant amount of our budget, which is why we wanted to just have the conversation.
And if it's down, we're closed because we
Yeah,
will have
we
no
can't.
heat or hot water.
Do we know how long it
Next
takes to
trees
get
and
it
everything,
ordered?
and then,
So I spoke with John and he was going to talk to his suppliers and then get back to me with a quote and how long it would take, like what the turnaround would be. So I kind of recall that there was some question about whether they could even get it last year and then they
That's
could
the
get,
conversation I
yeah.
remember, is
Right,
that wasn't
right.
sure if it was available.
Right, so, and that had to do with like some supply chain issues, and I know that we're better now, but, yeah, I don't know what the turnaround is, because they also have to like take apart the whole,
Yeah.
like, it's a whole piping system, they have to remove that entire section,
Yep.
so it's not a quick fix.
No.
So, we'll have to, see.
Would it
But at
be-
least we have one operating now, so even if it
Yes.
takes a couple of weeks or whatever.
This morning we did not, we were very worried.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just at the worst time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would this pump
Mhm.
still fit the parameters of what the new construction was looking
No.
for?
No.
No, this is,
So this
this
is-
is out,
this
this
is
is
done.
not.
This would be just dead money.
Yes, yes.
But we will have heat.
Yeah.
And the pipes won't freeze.
yeah.
And the new
Okay.
system.
Because if it,
Right.
yeah, there's no heat.
Right.
And only the lack of heat, even if we were close to the library, lack of heat is not a viable option because we have pipes of water.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
it would be a problem. It would be super.
Yeah.
No, you're being devastating.
Not a building, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel
Well,
like
and like, you know, it's not even a matter of just making it through April when we're targeted to go into temp space, because this building is going to be open during construction, and it's not gonna be like day one, here's your new HVAC system.
Right,
It's like several
right.
months of them
Yeah.
getting to the point where they're ready to install a new HVAC system. So it's, I mean, realistically, we need this pump to last, you know, this system to last for about a year.
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah,
you know.
really.
So, seeing it that way, I don't see that if we really have a choice. Why don't we, well, keep it in everyone's mind, give us the
I'll let you
information.
know as soon as we get that.
Yeah, and then we'll, if we have to hop on, you know, we'll discuss from that point out, but I don't see a situation in which we have a choice.
Yeah, I really feel like
That's
it
kind
would
of where we
be a big
landed
risk.
at, was like, we hate to spend the money
Yeah, I
because
know.
it days just feels like throwing it into thin air.
I know.
And because of the structure of this library, which is different than others I've worked at, our building, like, it comes out of my budget, right? Like,
Yes,
that's where the money
operating
comes out of,
budget,
yeah, versus, you know, in other libraries, it would come out of facilities. So
Right.
it is something that we just kind of have to keep an eye on, but I don't see a way that we don't have to pay. I mean, obviously, if he gets back to us and it's now $15,000, we're gonna have a different discussion, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Let's also just throw an update to the library building committee that this happened, and see
yes.
where we're at.
No, for sure.
Because maybe somebody has some information or connections, or hey, like.
That's
this-
Extra
right.
pump lane.
Right, or we just
What I
started
was
on this
thinking.
project, like,
Right,
let's
right.
find that out.
Yeah.
For this project, which is critical. It's not like, oh, I can do it another day. We could ask, because you have to put bids out for this HVAC, for the new building, you know, the rehab,
Yep.
that you go to them and say, we need right now this. And we will pick you as our client if you're willing to help us right now in this crisis. Maybe they have an old one sitting in their warehouse.
I
I'm
Just
don't,
to ask.
I don't know if we
I
can,
don't know if that.
I don't know if we can put that in like the RF.
Well, you
No,
you
but
can't
just-
make the promise,
you
but
can
I
make-
think the idea has a lot of.
But no, if you go to someone, like a Friends or a nonprofit, when I went to those places to get money, I asked for XYZ, for the library coming through there. You go to someone and you say, we are in this crisis right now, and we're not in the town budget, which everyone thinks you are. Which, why don't you just call them and they'll fix it?
Right.
So you look for someone who might have this gizmo from the dark ages in their old, you know, refrigerator thing that they've never used because it's so outdated.
yeah.
And say, would you be willing to donate it? If the people that are gonna be doing all this work for you, and you go to them and say, look, you can have it back when you put the new one in.
You know? So I think what we can do, I think to Mary's call out is let's bring it to the library building committee,
Yeah.
and kind of discuss it with them, and see how they want to go forward with
Yeah,
it.
we have a lot of experts on that
We
call.
do.
We have some reach.
Yeah.
That's what
Who
I'm saying,
have
like, there's a lot of,
connection.
a lot of experts that work in construction there.
Yes, and might just see, oh, you know what, right in the back of my room.
Right, like, one of these could have a project that just took one out. We don't
Yeah.
know, so let's put it out
So
there and
let's- yes.
see if anybody has a miracle in their pocket.
Do we have the specifics on the model, et cetera?
I personally do not.
Well, what's for us?
I know.
They do have, yeah, they know exactly the
Yeah.
system that is
Yeah.
going, a 30 or 30-ton chiller.
It's a 30-ton
Yeah.
shower, I can tell you that kind of stuff.
I can
It is
tell you that
not
much.
compatible
Yeah.
with this stuff.
With refrigerant and
Yes.
all of that.
There was a whole library building committee meeting dedicated just to the HVAC.
Yeah.
You talking about the new one or the old one?
I'm talking about the old.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't know,
Yeah,
I don't know the model number. I'm
Yeah.
sure our HVAC guy knows the model number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that information we can get so that we can
Because,
share that with them.
we can't be the only municipal building that that has upgraded, and maybe.
Well, this is in the boiler room.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so it's from like the 70s.
Pretty old.
Yeah, but we're not the only we're not the only community that has this situation. Maybe some of them still have some of those in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
There's somebody in Iowa perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll throw it to LBC and see
Yeah.
what they want to do. I think
Yeah.
that's a good,
Mhm.
yep.
And see what resources they have.
Yeah, so you always come up with
Possibly help us.
something. Okay, so
We
that's,
don't answer
So
those
this morning,
no.
well, that's it.
that was this
That was
morning.
this morning.
How did you figure out that that happened?
The
it's a
guy
long
came up
shot.
and said that this pump seized and it's dead and,
But I mean, it was cold in the building or something?
no, he was coming for regular
Regular
maintenance and to
maintenance.
switch over to,
To the winter
from AC
mode.
to heat and.
Yeah,
He was like, well, you're not doing that today.
yeah, we had noticed, I think the day before, there were some
There's some
cold spots,
leaking
some hot
and-
spots,
yeah,
some
yeah,
leaking, so,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be nice. Coming up.
yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. I mean, keep in mind, like, it feels terrible thinking that we're going to, hopefully going to temporary space in April, but really, like I said, it's gonna be about a year that we're depending on this
Right.
system to stay operational while things get built and repaired and whatnot here, so when I look at it that way, it's not a terrible amount of money to be put out there, but at the same time, like I said, nobody wants to be spending more money on something that we're getting rid of. I also think this is a fantastic data point to educate the public on, just like when our coil unit went on fire last year, that these systems are failing. We are not making it up.
Yeah.
We cannot ignore this building anymore.
Right.
It's been kicked down the road repeatedly. It is time. The library needs to be fixed. So I think we will put that into our update at town meeting that we will be presenting on the library project, reminding everyone of the fire we had last year and that we have 17 more unit coils in this building that could light on fire at any time. And we have a seized system right now that is being battery back together. So it's just great data for the public to know.
And that's the tip of the iceberg.
That is just the tip.
Yes.
Everything is being held together on a wing and a prayer right now. So we'll see. All right. Well,
That was nice.
That was fun.
okay. I'm glad we have you. That's
We have heat, yes, that's really what matters.
yeah.
And I think that's the end of my director's report.
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions for our lovely director, assistant director?
Nice job.
Yes.
I mean, the doors are open.
That's it.
We're trying.
We appreciate it. I'm going to do a quick library repair project update because Ed's not here and everything is on the library building committee drive. Everything is moving forward. We are still looking right on general budget of what we presented as a potential at town meeting last time. It was just under 16.1-ish million for that. The library building committee is doing a fantastic job of really making really smart, sound decisions to keep this budget tight as it possibly can. We got the variance for the front entrance so that we don't have to change that. It can stay historical and we don't have to add a giant ramp. And we will just keep moving forward with that. The library building committee is meeting just about every 2 weeks at this point. So if anyone wants to hop on a call at any time, feel free to join us. I know you have learned a lot through our meetings recently, so it's there's a lot going on. So we thank you, everybody, for their time. Library branding.
Okay, so I will move to the quote-unquote fun stuff. Hopefully this works. So again, we talked a lot last month about branding. You guys knew this was coming, so I'm very excited to say that the staff voted, and it was a little bit of a close vote, but overwhelmingly, one design caught everybody's eye, and I feel blessed because it was what I liked the most too. So it could not have worked out better for me. But I wanted to start with this, because my question, you guys, is what is this? And it is not the Sydney Opera House, it is our logo. And that is our logo. And not anymore. So this is a sample color palette. It looks a little different on this screen than it does in real life. So, and that was something that came up, I think, a little bit in our leadership meetings, that the colors are a little bit different. What we're trying to do is align the branding colors with the colors of the interior finishes of the redesign, so that this will look like the new library. So this is kind of the sample color palette of the interior finishes of the adult spaces. And then this is the overall color palette that we have to play with. So the teen spaces and children's spaces play very much in these colors, and then the adult spaces play kind of in these colors. So this is our new color palette, and ignore these hex codes. I did not finish doing the work. Just didn't. I will. But so this is our new color palette. It gives us a lot of variation, a lot of opportunity here. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing is that each department is assigned a color. So for us right now, subject to change, what we have talked about is this kind of bright green being our children's color, this kind of purplish being our teen color. I think that's what we talked about. And going with a blue or a navy for the adults. That way they kind of look nice together, but they're also very distinct. And they're colors that really aren't objectionable, right? They're just colored, right? So that's our sample color palette.
And so like you're thinking in that is like when you put a flyer off for a teen program, it's purple. So you're walking by and you're like, oh, that's a teen program.
Yes. So one of the things that we have updated in the interior finishes is that we now have a big slat wall for all of our programs, events, and flyers. And so we can have all of them up there, children's over here, teen over here, adult over here, all in one place. And visually you can tell what's what. And I, as a parent, can grab a kid's and an adult, because that's what I'm interested in. Or I can grab a teen and a children's, and it's just very obvious what's what. With our templates, but still gives us room enough for our staff to be creative with their flyers. So I'll give some examples. So this is our new logo.
I love it.
Westborough Public Library, and one of the things that we are very proud of is this idea of, we've been talking a lot about starting with our why, because there's been so much talk about duplication of services with community center and us, and I think it's just a really important time for us to explain why we're different. What is our mission, right? How is that different from rec? How is that different from senior center? And so we thought it was important to include that in our logo. So this idea of grow, learn, and inspire as our kind of core mission, right, of what we do. We want people to grow as people, grow your knowledge base, grow your community, learn, right? Take our information, learn from that, learn from each other, and then inspire. Take the growth, the learning, and use that to help other people. And we really felt like that spoke to our core values as a library and in this community of Westborough. So, what do we think?
I love it.
That's awesome.
I absolutely love it.
Okay.
Question, are the fonts finalized, or is this a placeholder?
The fonts are semi-finalized. We can move on it. So one of the things that we did was, so this little floral filigree is borrowed from our window, which is our old logo. So we thought it was playing homage to kind of the past, but still looking forward. And that's that was our goal with the font as well, that we're kind of, this is a 1907 building, we're kind of going with this era, this kind of historical look. Also, if you haven't been to Marlborough yet, I'm going to call that out, because if you go to Marlborough, they went with kind of a little bit of a deco font. They actually still use the logo I designed, which is kind of really nice. But all of their signage is that, and it looks really nice in their new space because it has a little bit of character. And so I thought that that was like, that would be really neat to do here in our new space. So it still gives kind of a nod back to the history with still being kind of modern.
And it has motion.
Yes.
Because the larger letters make you feel like that long line is taking you into the future, where
Yes.
that was the past. And the only thing I'm worried about in the colors is on a color chart, the blue and the purple are compatible with, if you mix them together, you could get purple. But the yellow doesn't have anything if you mixed it with this to get something else. So if there was another color that was compatible on the chart of colors,
Okay.
that might be an interesting.
We can look at that for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit more for you to see.
Oh, and I like it with the.
Yep, so this is our color version. We went with kind of this, it looks more orange than it is. It's kind of a burnt orange. Because this is what the architects and interior designers kind of picked out for our touch of color in the downstairs, and we thought it looked really slick, and the contrast between the two will be really good for our website and with compliancy in terms of accessibility too, that we have these two colors that are very different. This is it without the tagline, so you can kind of see that it does add a little something to it. This is kind of your one version of the full color icon version. You're going to see a lot of versions. Here's one of them. This is the kind of full color, and here you can really see the call out to that window. Here's it in, I'm calling it the black and white, but we're using navy blue as our kind of main color. So this version is we kind of did this opposite color thing here, which will be really helpful in that kind of color coding system. So here you see it in the burnt orange, here you see it in a purple, here you see the white version. This is all stuff we cannot do with our current logo, so it's so helpful. Here's a myriad of colors, which again look very different on here than on my computer. You're getting a good view of what they actually look like.
Yeah.
But you know, something like maybe all of the ones in the green, that gets slapped on all of the children's stuff. Or you know, that, so it will all call out to Westborough, to this library, the book being the main feature, because at the end of the day, we are more than books, but we are also books, right? We are a library, and it is important. It is part of our core value. And so it was important that that be a part of what the logo is. Here's a Friends version, which again looks very similar to ours, just tweaked a little bit. Here's one for the foundation, so that they'll all call to what the core is, which is Westborough Public Library. Here's kind of a banner image of what it might look like in a template. Here is a sample template for an adult program. This you might see posted on social media or in a slider or printed out. Here's a sample children's event.
So now I really like what you're doing here, but I still have an issue with the font.
Okay.
Is as I look at Westborough Public Library, I'm seeing perhaps two different fonts there.
It is. It's two different fonts.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
So we have two main fonts that you can use. So one is generally the heading and the other will be body text. It's good to have two main fonts to kind of play with. This bottom Westborough Library is the same font as public libraries, just not in all caps. So that's just how I've always had it be standard, is that you have kind of one fancy font and one very plain font that you play around with. This is something that staff looked at and voted for, so I would be hesitant to change it, only because they were told they were decision makers. But we can tweak it.
But what's nice about it is that the town, which is unique to, everybody has a public library,
Yes.
but the name of the
Stands apart.
town is in a larger font. whereas public library is just what you assume.
Right.
But the flower in the middle of the book represents growth, and so it just tells the whole story. I just like it. And I wish that every one of them had that long line going, because it's jetting to the future.
Yes,
You know, so
it's
I
a
really like
movement, right?
Mhm.
So I'll show you a few more so you can see, like, so for example, this is what it would look like. So see how children's is what's in the bigger font and Westborough Public Library is what's in the smaller
So
one.
that green wasn't like the one we saw at the beginning, because that green was
Well,
so
the
weird.
colors are.
It's,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll show you, like, you can
That
kind of
looks really
see
good.
here.
It's more like this than.
It's a little nicer.
Yeah,
but
no, I
that's
like
okay.
this green, but before the other one.
So
was-
again, just a fake program I put together. It's just an example, and this took 2 seconds to put together. So in terms of our staff time, having templates like this will be a lifesaver. Here's a sample team like this is what it might look like, SAT prep, you know, again, it's fake. This is a stock photo.
So convenient, the SATs is.
And here's another one. This is an example of how, even though they have the same template, they can still look different. And here's another version of a template. So you could have teens up in the corner. Again, fake event. And here's another fake event, that same kind of template. Stuffy sleepover, which is always a big hit. And then here's some just examples of what a printed flyer might look like in that same template design. So imagine if this was on a slat wall.
I love this.
Yeah, you can easily, identify that this is children's, this is adults, and grab the right one. And we'll also have a color for all ages programs. Just please, I did the best I could. Yes, we will
Thank you.
proofread. I am a librarian, not a proofreader. That has never been my strong suit.
Oh.
That's why I'm Lynn. This color did not come out on this at all. But just again, an example of how we can utilize different colors for these kind of banners. And then just wanted to end with the logo once again so that you guys could see it. So the next step in this process, so one was we wanted to put it in front of you guys, make sure there was no huge issues that we had to address. And then creating templates, brand standards. We now have Canva Pro for free because of our friends.
Nice.
And so I'm going to set up all the brand standards in Canva Pro so that all these templates are in there, all the colors are in there with the correct text codes. And it'll just make life so much easier for our staff, and our flyers and everything will be consistent, which is really great, because I know that that's a struggle that a lot of our staff have. So that will be the next thing. Another thing that we are going to be doing, because we feel like explaining our why, explaining our why is super important. So Lynn actually had this really good idea to take that Grow, Learn, Inspire message and do a giant banner out in front of our library before fall town meeting.
Yeah, that was a great idea.
To get people remembering what our core values are, because the question will come up, right? And so this is, I think the green one is the one that we ended up liking, but just very simple. Grow, Learn, Inspire, boom.
Yep.
Logo tells the story, the book, the growth, the flower, everything, just very simple. But just getting people to remember what we are as a library, what our core values are as a library. So we're gonna work on that. We're also gonna be doing all new branding items, business cards, lanyards, swag, new library cards, all of that kind of thing, as we get to it. But our hope is within the next couple of weeks, couple being subjective, we will begin to start rolling out new templates, new everything.
Right.
Kind of new printed calendar templates that are folded, like brochures that have information on the back and front. Just new ways to kind of market what we do, because we're really kind of at a 0 hour, making sure that people understand what we do and what we have to offer. And again, the call out to say people don't know about our museum passes. Well, this is all part of getting people to know what we do and what we offer.
Now,
So,
when is the next town meeting?
October 21st.
Maybe you could have those
So you'll
ready
have that.
to hand out at the.
So we'll have a table at town meeting, but also for the presentation, so that
Yes.
we have
Yes.
a new project
Yes.
and not
Yes.
a.
It's gonna look different.
Have we reserved a table for
Um,
John?
oh, I
We I think we have to request from John Arnold to
John
to
Arnold,
set up a
right.
table upstairs.
We did request
We
LBC
requested
time.
LBC time for a presentation
Yeah.
at town meeting, but we do have to request a table from
I
John.
will
Yes.
reserve the table.
So, and again, you guys remember that that's the reason why we were working so hard on getting this piece done, was so that when we went to town meeting, it was not a callback to what happened before. That it was kind of a start fresh, this is a repair project, this has nothing to do with anything that happened before. And so, yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think the staff chose the right one. And I think, yeah, I think the staff will really love it. We have not revealed it to everybody yet, just our leadership team, because we wanted it to come here first. And so I'm really excited to be able to send that out with my Friday update.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
done. Nice job.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing with us.
All right, let me get back to our. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, that's gonna bring up our standing items list. Do we check the suggestion box before tonight's meeting?
We would like to put the suggestion box away for a little while, only because it's not being used for the purposes intended.
Okay.
Yes, the things that we are getting in there consistently are things that are operational.
Our questions to
Yes.
ask in the moment and not necessarily
Right, that.
an
they could-
anonymous, because it's not anonymous, we know who they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, I guess I know that there was probably a history to this that I am not privy to or understand. But I feel strongly that if somebody has a suggestion, we want them to sign their name to it, right? And come and I want my staff to give people my card and open that conversation and have them reach out to me. And I'm happy to meet with them and have a discussion and talk through these issues rather than throw a piece of paper in a box. I would rather have conversation for that, and I don't know if that's something that just hasn't worked out in the past.
So I think, so the history with the suggestion box has always been around, but we made a big emphasis on like bringing it back and making it more of a public thing as a way for the public to communicate with the trustees. So as things came up and people had feedback that they wanted to share about the project or not, a lot of people felt that they didn't know how to reach trustees outside of the email, and it was another avenue where if someone had something that they directly wanted us to know about, that they could feel free to put it in the box. So I would
So
like
maybe
to
we
take this.
brand,
Yeah,
like
that was
brand
where
the
it's
box,
going.
okay.
I would like to do some signage change
Yeah.
and some maybe
Let's try
PR about like, hey, did you know, want to reach the trustees or have something to share with them or input? This is for that
Yeah, I
purpose.
think that would help.
Okay.
And then this way people know it's, like around and it's just, and even on that, you can put in there, it can always email, but some people feel more comfortable. Right. And so that, I would like to
Agreed.
keep
Okay.
that, but let's try that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Because
think that makes sense.
that's
That's
not be that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then perhaps like, got a lot, question for today, go to the front desk, or go to the,
Right,
like,
right,
give
yeah.
them a where to go, but this is
Yeah.
more what it's for.
Maybe it's not a suggestion box.
Yeah, maybe
Right,
it's
like,
just
maybe
like
it's
trustee
trustee.
communication,
Ask a
or
trustee,
ask,
or-
right, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's think about
let's
that.
think about something that we could title other than suggestion box,
Yeah.
so that people understand that it's a way for them to be able to communicate with us.
Yes. I
So-
think that is where the disconnect is,
Yes.
why
Yeah,
we're
sure.
seeing so much of
Yeah.
that, because then
Yeah.
we feel bad
Yeah,
that it's been a month since we've done this and it's a question about an item out on their account.
yeah.
And we're like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's just do some PR about it, we'll think about a different,
Yeah, I think
brainstorm
that's
like a
a
different
good
name for it.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd like us to keep it for a little bit and let's try that and see.
Okay.
So no suggestion box feedback.
Okay, great, no problem.
Is there, so if it's been moved, is there a sign there saying?
It hasn't been moved yet.
No.
No.
And we haven't think about what the sign is, but yeah, yeah.
If you have a question or suggestion.
Yep. I love
And
that.
like wherever you feel like it might be the best space, wherever.
Oh, yeah, we've got
I think
options.
we've tried it in a
Yeah.
few different
Right,
places to just be
right.
like, it's here. Okay. Building relationship with staff and a director. So for our director advisory committee will be Janine, myself, and Kate. Janine, I just sent you an email actually on that. And we're going to be meeting once a month with Kate to support her about that. Although, as I was emailing Janine, I realized the date I picked, I totally conflict every week. So we'll pick a new date. That's fine. And back to the drawing board on that.
Yep.
But I think that'll be a great resource for you and for us to have that working relationship. Quarterly newsletter, all is good there. And we're not talking about the bird display.
Yeah. We're fine with that.
Yep, okay, great. Trustee community outreach.
Yeah, so I'm still in recovery, but I'm hoping that in the next week or so, I can start booking some things for November. That's my hope.
Feel better.
I know, we hope you feel better. Good thing is, we'll have a lot of community outreach at town meeting when we do a presentation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm hoping, I really want to, Kate and I talked about doing something in November, and that's my hope.
Okay,
So I'm working.
great. Feel better.
Thank you.
Any trustee issues? All right, that'll bring us to the treasurer's report.
We are right on track.
Good stuff.
There's nothing major. I have to say that department heads are really on top of things. Children's Room is doing a really good job at diversifying their purchases. They're using a lot of new companies and they're getting a lot of good stuff, so. But we are right on track.
Yeah, see right at 25%, which is great.
Yep, awesome. Awesome. All right, does anyone have any questions about the treasurer's report? Then I will take a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Thank you. Seconded? Second. All in favor?
Hi.
Fabulous. Any opposed? No? Fabulous. Thanks, everybody. That will bring us to the approval of minutes. Before we discuss it or look at it, can we all vote on it? Is anyone not able to vote on the 2 September meetings? Okay, great. Then it's worth discussing. We have the September, no. I just lost it. Yeah, the September 4th, minutes from the library, from the Board of Trustee meeting, and the September 29th, the one we just had Sunday for the strategic plan vote. I didn't see any corrections. Great. Then I will take a motion to accept both minutes as presented.
Okay,
You're
I
up.
move to accept the minutes of those 2 meetings as they stand.
Seconded?
My mom's.
He stepped out on us tonight. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. All right. We only got one more vote tonight, so we're done. Foundation update. Kate has met with the foundation.
I have.
Which is exciting. And continued path forward for communication.
Yep, we have another meeting already planned, so.
Who is the,
Maureen Johnson.
I just wanted to give you an update about the puppet theater.
Oh, yeah.
And we set a date for a Saturday, the 3rd Saturday, I believe, in October. I will send you all the date. Either,
26.
yeah.
Awesome.
And you were going to have some kind of presentation for
Yes.
the citation. I assume that Kate would like to be there as well as Bernadette, and then we'll have a go at it. It's adorable, and
Awesome.
it's really is cute.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. So exciting. Okay, agenda items for next month's meeting. So actually, let's discuss next month's meeting because we were just talking about it before. Right now, our next everyone knows that October town meeting is Monday, October 21st. Tuesday, October 22nd is the Friends meeting. So those are 2 late nights for Kate, Julie as well. And then Wednesday, the 23rd is supposed to be our next trustee meeting. What I'd like to do, since it just seems like that'll be a long 11 months that week, is to potentially post a meeting for the trustees directly before October town meeting to be held at the high school as a placeholder if we need to meet. If nothing comes up in the next 2 weeks for an October agenda, then we can just skip that till November meeting. Does that make sense?
So for Monday night?
For Monday night
first,
before
that's
town
what we're
meeting.
talking about.
Oh,
At
before
town meeting, right,
Yes.
since we'll all be at town
At
meeting.
the high school.
Primarily, right.
Yes.
Because out of the 3 of us, we're not really seeing a lot that's gonna come up in the next 2 weeks in terms of job descriptions or policy work that we're gonna need to do in October. So we'll, if we need to meet, we can before October fall special town meeting. If not, we will just cancel that meeting and hold on to it till November.
So what time does the town meeting, I never remember. what it said.
Town meeting starts at 7,
Okay,
so I would say it's 6
Okay.
at night.
And so just we would not,
We just would not
the
have an
23rd
October
is not
23rd.
All right, I won't be able to hire
Okay.
clients until 7:30
That's fine.
on that day, but I will run over to the meeting all that.
Yeah, like I said, there was nothing that we thought, like, this is definitely gonna have to be dealt with in October. So we're gonna let, I think, the building committee kind of take over October business and then we'll meet again in November if we have to. If not, we'll throw something out.
Is there a protocol in town meeting with the library team sits together or?
So there's not a protocol. We generally used to sit in the front. Like all town boards are kind of supposed to sit, you're all supposed to go to town meeting. That's part of our obligations as elected town officials. And so in the past, we have sat in the front right, not too far up front. Like, kind of like 4th or 5th row back. Yeah. But some that, in the past couple of years, in light of COVID and other illnesses, not everyone has felt comfortable being that close proximity, and that's fine. But we are all supposed to make an appearance at town meeting.
Yeah, I
For
think
that.
that, just the evening before.
So I would say, do what you feel most comfortable with. I do like that view up front, so I generally sit there.
the November, the 4th Wednesday is gonna be that day before Thanksgiving, so.
We moved it the week before,
Before the
when we
20th.
set it. We set it
Okay.
on the 20th.
Okay, 20th?
Yes. Yep,
Okay, so that's good, so that one's even earlier.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so like,
Okay.
it's less of a time. You know,
The 13th?
no, the 20th?
The
November
20th?
20th?
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Thanksgiving's late this year.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say earmark the 21st at 6 for a library trustee meeting at the high school lobby, I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And then we'll post that and then we'll see if we need it. If not, we'll just cancel it.
Yeah,
And then we'll just let town meeting do town meeting.
perfect.
All right. If that's all good, then I might-
For the town meeting, when is the library update going to be at the beginning?
It's gonna be at the beginning. All updates happen at the beginning. It'll be a maximum of 3 to 5
5
minutes.
minutes,
Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right, then I will take a motion at 8:51. So long meeting.
I know.
Sorry.
Now I said to Lynn, I thought this one's gonna be a quick one.
Ha, not when the HVAC system
No,
holds.
I know.
That doesn't happen. All right, so I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I think it's my turn. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mike, come on, you got one more to do.
Wait a
Let's do
second.
it. All in favor? Thank you, everybody, appreciate it. Thank you so much.